Now that the dust has settled on Donald Trump's trade war against the world, and we see a 10% tariff that is spread right across CARICOM region, my question is, if tariffs are passed on to consumers, why is it that CARICOM nations have a tariff on goods coming from America? Let's talk about it. One of the things I must say I love about this platform is that it gives us the opportunity to communicate with each other right across the Caribbean and in the diaspora in real time. And this gives us an opportunity to learn from each other right across the Caribbean and to have a dialogue. And over the weekend, a business person reached out to me from the Caribbean, and during that conversation, we spoke about this whole trade war and the negative impact that this could have on the Caribbean. And we spoke about Donald Trump's reciprocal tariff, meaning Donald Trump stating that, look, he is reciprocating what is done to America. So if you charge me 10%, I'm going to charge you 10%. If you charge me 40%, I'm going to charge you 40%. And what came out of that conversation is that the whole idea of tariff, that a lot of us were learning about tariff because of this trade war. And one of the main points of tariff is that it is right across the board said that, look, tariff is passed on to the consumer. So tariff itself is like an extra tax. So if that is the case, the question is, why is it that the CARICOM nations have a tariff on goods coming in from America, especially goods that we need on a day-to-day in the Caribbean? Even the Prime Minister of Barbados came out late last week and said that most of the stuff that we see on the supermarket shelf across the region, they are coming from the United States of America. So I believe that this is a fair question. If these things are coming into the Caribbean from America, these are things that we need on the supermarket shelf on a daily basis. These are things that make it to our dinner table. Why is it that Caribbean islands are charging a tariff on these things coming in from the United States of America? And what also came up in the conversation was the Caribbean Basin Initiative. And the Caribbean Basin Initiative, Angie Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, came out recently and said, look, most of the things that are on that list, 90% of the things that are exported to America from the region are a part of the Caribbean Basin Initiative. That means up to 90% of things that are exported to America from the Caribbean, they go into America tariff-free, duty-free. So why is it that coming the other way, that the Caribbean islands impose a tariff on goods coming from America if up to 70% of what we need on our dinner table in the Caribbean is coming from America? And as I said, that is a fair question. And maybe there's a legitimate reason why the Caribbean islands have to impose a tariff or a duty on goods coming from America. But I believe that they need to be transparent and they need to tell the people in the Caribbean what is really going on. Because as someone, I've traveled the Caribbean, and last year I've traveled St. Vincent, Barbados, been to Jamaica earlier on. And one of the things that always stand out to me when traveling the Caribbean is that, as I said, I believe that about 80% of what is in the supermarket is not, up to 70 to 80%, not from the region. And whenever I look and I see brands in the Caribbean that I would see in Canada and in America, when you look at the prices of those brands in the Caribbean, it is very expensive. Okay, let's talk about barrel. I believe that packing barrel is a part of Caribbean culture. And sometimes, for people who live in the diaspora can attest to this, sometimes you'll spend months packing a barrel, and it would cost you like, say, up to $300 to pack a barrel if you're going to send back to like Jamaica or to St. Vincent. And you'll pack that barrel and you send that barrel, you pay to ship the barrel, and when you go to clear it from the ports, you have to pay almost another $300 to clear it. And that makes absolutely no sense, because we're talking about food. We're not talking about like appliances. We're not talking about cars. We're not talking about luxury items. So I believe that this is a reasonable question, that if this whole trade war bring out the thing about tariff and reciprocal trade and stuff like that, why is it that the Caribbean region, for the most important things that make it to our dinner table, why are we paying tariff on that? And I know that there things can be done because it's been proven before. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when the volcano erupted years ago and throughout the pandemic, and also in the last hurricane, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Ralph Gonsalves, they gave a holiday on certain items coming into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So you could pack a barrel and send to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and it would get there duty free. So I believe that the Caribbean leaders are going to have to step up and do something that Caribbean people are not suffering this high cost of food coming into the Caribbean. And as it relates to the 10% tariff on goods going into America, I believe that that is going to be tough for especially people in the export market. But I believe that the same way that some of the other governments subsidize certain sector, I believe that the Jamaican government might have to step up. The government in Trinidad and Tobago, because I know Trinidad and Tobago is another big exporter to America. I know Guyana. So I believe that the government might have to step up and subsidize some of these businesses export to America. And I believe that this is going to be short term. That is my belief. I believe that this is going to be short term, that this might be overturned eventually. If not, after this Trump administration, I believe that everything that Donald Trump implement in his term, the next administration is going to get rid of everything that Donald Trump put in place, and that is politics. We have seen that over the years with changing American government. The Democrats do one thing, Republicans come and they wipe it out. Republicans do one thing, the Democrat comes and they wipe it out. So I believe that this is going to be short term, and the leaders in the Caribbean have to start looking for new markets, have to think about putting money into subsidizing exports and certain sector in the Caribbean that can cushion this blow from in terms of high food costs in the Caribbean. And that is just my belief. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this conversation. Do you believe that the governments in the Caribbean should lift some of the tariff, especially on things that's used in the Caribbean on a day-to-day basis, like fruits and vegetables? I believe that we can plant that in the Caribbean, but there are things that maybe rice, maybe pasta, there are certain things that make it to the dinner table that I believe that it is unfair to pretty much charge the consumers. It's like a double tax. It is a double tax because when the Caribbean Basin Initiative was implemented back in 1983, a lot of the Caribbean islands, some of them did not have sales tax, and some of the sales tax have doubled since. So if you're paying sales tax at the cashier, at the cash counter, and then you're paying a tariff, in my opinion, that is too much. But sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.